The insult didn't come loudly. It came disguised as a joke, the kind that makes everyone laugh except the person it's aimed at. I was standing near the kitchen counter, holding a glass of water, when my sister-in-law smiled sweetly and said, "Well, at least Neha is simple. Not everyone needs big dreams, right?" The room laughed softly, politely, comfortably. I smiled too, because after years of practice, I had learned how to smile when people tried to make me feel small. My name is Neha Malhotra, and for most of my life my family believed I was the least successful person in the room. I had arrived late to the anniversary dinner, not because I wanted to make an entrance, but because I'd been stuck on a call with my finance team. The call had been important, a multi-crore decision important, but to my family it was just office work. I wore a plain kurta, no jewelry except a small watch. My hair was tied back neatly. I didn't look rich. I didn't look powerful, and that was exactly why they felt comfortable insulting me. Still working that boring job? My cousin asked as I took a seat. "It pays the bills," I replied calmly. My brother smirked. "Some of us don't work just to pay bills." I nodded. "Good for you." That annoyed him. People hate it when you don't react the way they expect. Dinner continued, stories were shared, promotions were mentioned. Salaries were compared in subtle ways. My brother talked about his new car, my sister-in-law talked about their upcoming vacation. My parents listened proudly, and I listened silently. They thought silence meant emptiness. They didn't know silence was strategy. At one point, my father turned to me and said, "Neha, you should learn something from your brother. He started from nothing, and look at him now." I looked at my brother, then back at my father. "Yes," I said softly, "he's done well." My sister-in-law laughed. "Neha has always been comfortable with less. Comfortable." As if simplicity was a flaw, as if ambition only showed through brands and noise. The real humiliation came later. When dessert was served, my brother raised his glass. "I just want to say," he began, already enjoying the attention, "success is about knowing your worth. Some people aim high, others are happy staying average." His eyes met mine. Directly, for example, he continued, "Neha, she's smart, but she never took risks, never pushed herself. Some people are just meant to live simple lives." The room went quiet. Not uncomfortable quiet, accepting quiet. No one defended me, not my parents, not my relatives, no one. That was the moment something inside me changed. Not anger, clarity. I stood up. "I think I should go," I said. My mother frowned already. "Yes." I smiled. "Big day tomorrow." My brother laughed. "For you, what big thing could you possibly have?" I looked at him. And for the first time in years I didn't smile. "You'll find out," I said, and I walked out. That night I didn't cry. I opened my laptop. I reviewed documents. I confirmed approvals. I signed papers because the truth was simple. The family house they lived in, mine, the business my brother proudly managed, funded by me, the loans that kept their lifestyle alive, guaranteed by my assets, they didn't know because they never asked. At exactly 9:00 a.m., the next morning my phone rang. It was my father, Neha. His voice was tense. "Did you know the bank froze our accounts?" I leaned back in my chair. "Yes," I said calmly, "I did." Silence. "What do you mean you did?" I continued, "the guarantees expired, and I chose not to renew them." My father's voice dropped. "Neha, what are you saying?" "I'm saying," I replied softly, "that today, for the first time, you're seeing my real job." The night she was invited back into the house that once threw her out, Aisha Malik already knew it wasn't an invitation. It was a test, a reminder, a way for them to see whether she was still the same girl who had left with one suitcase and shaking hands, or whether life had finally broken her enough to make her beg for acceptance. The message came from her elder cousin Samir, typed casually, almost lazily, as if the words carried no weight at all. "Family dinner tomorrow. Everyone's coming. Don't be late, and dress properly this time. dress properly. Aisha read the message twice, then locked her phone and leaned back in her chair. Outside her office window, the city glowed with the quiet confidence of money and movement. Cars streamed below like veins carrying life through concrete arteries. 10 years ago, she used to watch the same city from a cramped bus seat, calculating whether she could afford dinner after paying rent. Back then, she had dreamed of survival. Now, she managed assets worth more than most people in her family would earn in their lifetimes. And they still thought she was the failure. Her assistant knocked lightly and stepped in. "Ma'am, the Singapore call is confirmed for 9 a.m. tomorrow." Aisha nodded. "Move it to 11. I have a personal commitment." The assistant hesitated. "Everything okay?" Aisha smiled, calm and unreadable. Perfectly. That night as she drove home, memories surfaced uninvited. The night her uncle had called her irresponsible. The way her aunt had whispered that girls like her ruined family names. The silence of the room when she said she wanted to start her own business instead of accepting the marriage proposal they had chosen for her. The way they had watched her leave without stopping her, convinced she would come crawling back within months. She never did. By the time she arrived at her apartment, the skyline reflected off glass walls and polished floors. It was a penthouse she rarely talked about, not because she was hiding it, but because she had learned something early in her journey. People treated you better when they underestimated you. Aisha poured herself a glass of water, not wine. She liked clarity on nights like this. The next evening, she arrived at the family house exactly on time. Not early, not late. The house looked the same, big, loud, and heavy with expectations. Luxury built on borrowed money and social appearances. The kind of place where success was discussed loudly but rarely understood. As soon as she stepped inside, conversations dipped for half a second. Just long enough for her to notice. Then voices resumed, slightly forced. "Aisha," her aunt said, scanning her from head to toe. "You came?" "Yes." Aisha replied softly. "I was invited." Samir approached with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Did you find the place all right? I know you're not used to this area." Aisha smiled back. "I manage." They ushered her toward the dining table, placing her at the far end. No one asked about her work. No one asked where she lived. They didn't want answers. They wanted confirmation of the story they had been telling themselves for a decade. Dinner began with the usual performances. Samir talked about his promotion. Another cousin discussed a new car. Someone complained about taxes. Then, inevitably, the focus shifted to Aisha. "So," her uncle said, leaning back in his chair, "still doing that little startup thing?" Aisha nodded. "Yes." "And is it sustainable?" her aunt asked, concern dripping with judgment. "You know, not everyone is meant to be a business person." Aisha took a sip of water. "It's been sustainable," Samir chuckled. "Define sustainable." "I mean real success is stability, a good company job, a respectable life, not running after risky dreams." Several heads nodded. Aisha looked around the table, faces she had known her entire life, faces that had never once asked how she survived when things were hard, faces that assumed silence meant failure. "I agree," she said calmly. "Stability matters." That seemed to satisfy them. The tension eased. They thought they had one. Then Samir raised his glass. "To family," he said loudly. "And to those of us who made sensible choices." Laughter followed. Aisha set her glass down gently. "May I say something?" The room stilled, reluctant, of course. Her uncle said, "Keep it short." Aisha stood. She didn't rush. She didn't fidget. Her voice, when she spoke, was steady. 10 years ago, I left this house because I was told I didn't belong, because I was told I would fail, because I chose a different path." Her aunt shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't come back to prove anything," Aisha continued. "I came because you invited me, but since we're talking about success, I think clarity would be useful." Samir frowned. "What are you talking about?" Aisha reached into her bag and placed a slim folder on the table. "This house," she said. The one we're sitting in, it was refinanced 3 years ago. The loan was approved through Malik Holdings. Her uncle laughed nervously. And I own Malik Holdings. Silence hit the room like a physical force. Samir's smile vanished. That's not funny. It's not a joke, Aisha said. The loan prevented foreclosure. Her aunt's face went pale. Foreclosure. Aisha nodded. Missed payments. Increasing debt. You were 3 months away. Her uncle stared at the papers with shaking hands. I didn't tell you. Aisha went on, because I wasn't doing it for gratitude. I did it because I didn't want the house to be taken. Not because you deserved it, but because I didn't want the past to define me. Samir stood abruptly. You expect us to believe you're rich now. Aisha looked at him. No, I don't expect anything. She slid another document forward. That's my company valuation, updated last quarter. No one spoke for years. Aisha said quietly, you spoke about me as if I was invisible, as if I had failed. Tonight, you celebrated yourselves by reminding me where you thought I belonged. She picked up her bag. I don't need your approval. I never did. But I won't sit quietly while being disrespected in a house I saved. Her uncle found his voice. Why are you telling us this now? Aisha paused at the door. Because this is the last time you get to underestimate me. She walked out without waiting for a response. Outside, the night air felt lighter, cleaner. Her phone buzzed as she got into her car. A message from Samir. Please call me. She didn't. Some victories don't need closure. They need distance. And for the first time in her life, Aisha drove away knowing she wasn't running anymore. She was choosing.